Hola friends, welcome to the Medicine, Marriage, and Money YouTube channel, the only channel for physicians who want to achieve marital interdependence and financial freedom together. On this channel, you will learn how to show up as the best version of yourself so that you can love intentionally and build a more financially savvy relationship with your spouse. And I am your host, a physician mom, a doctor's wife, a Gottman leader, a certified life and marriage coach, Dr. Kate Mangona. Welcome. Bienvenidos.
And it's not just about the finances, it's also about the mindset about the finances, like the mentality, the relationship we have with ourselves, the relationship we have with money, the relationship we have with others. And the reason why I bring that up is because it's not just the numbers. In fact, the number is 20%, right? Everything else is 80%. And if it was just about the numbers, everybody that had money would be living a life of value, purpose, and fulfillment. And that's not the case. And that's because there's a layer to it. There's a wealthy mindset purpose to it. There's the identity ourselves, our own identity with ourselves, knowing who we are outside of money before we can try to do money, so that when we know who we are, money becomes easy. Because it's okay, I can invest it. It doesn't matter if I have it or lose it. And what happens is I now learn the important information, and that way my money actually grows.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Medicine, Marriage, and Money. Today, you're in for a very, very special treat, all the way from almost Aruba. She's going to tell us where she is, but Dr. Latifat Akintade is a gastroenterologist and the founder of MoneyFitMD School, a program she developed to help women physicians control their finances and create wealth without working extra shifts or sacrificing well-being. Latifat is the mother of 3 strong little girls and the loving wife of 11 years. She is here to talk about her journey so that we might follow in her footsteps to financial freedom and practicing medicine from love instead of obligation. She is currently on a year-long sabbatical. She is in this little island right now she's going to tell us about, and she's going to talk about her book, Done with Broke, The Women Physician's Guide to More Money and Less Hustle. And on top of all that, it's her birthday. So happy birthday, Latifat!
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I love chatting with you. So I'm glad we get to do this together today.
Yay! Okay, well, and also welcome back, because you were here like 2 years ago with your husband, and I was in mine.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes. Time flies. I remember really well. We were in the garage recording this because our kids, I think, were inside or asleep, or I don't even remember. But yes. Oh my goodness. Such memories. I'm glad I've known you that long.
Oh, I know. You reached out to me and you were like, I think we should record on your podcast. And I'm like looking you up. I'm like, who is this Latifat? And I was like, oh yeah, showing my husband your vlogs with I'm like, she seems pretty legitimate. I think we need to talk to her together. And it was just like the best time, that one of the best, most fun times I had recording. And I will have you know, you are the first person to ever come back on my podcast for a second time besides my husband.
Well, so, I'm glad your husband has been on for more than that. But thank you. I feel really honored. And I truly did not take this time together for granted. So thank you.
Yeah. And tell us, okay, what island are you at right now?
So I am in Curacao, which I'm super excited about. Funny enough, we were in Aruba last year for my birthday. My husband and I, my kids didn't go with us. And, we loved the island. We loved the language. There's so many languages there. And I think that's actually where the seed for the sabbatical got planted, even though at that point, it wasn't something that I wanted to do. I was good. I was happy, and I love what I do as a GI doctor. But where we are right now is the island right next to it. It's called Curacao. And the reason why we picked it is it's less touristy than Aruba, which we like, and also has more more texture to it. So there's more stuff. They have more beaches. It's not just like the sandy ones. It's well known in like the snorkeling community. And for you that dive, actually, Bonaire, which is their third island there. So there's Aruba, Curacao, and Bonaire. They're known for like diving, like that's where the divers go kind of deal. So anyways, we love it here. It's beautiful. And we are going to be going to Aruba actually for the week, this coming weekend. So.
Oh my gosh. And yeah, tell us about that leap that you took to decide the sabbatical. How did you take that? How did you know that was what you and your family needed during this time?
To be honest with you, I'm not even sure it's what we needed. It's what we wanted, right? I didn't think we needed a long break, right? Because a lot of times when people talk about sabbaticals, they talk about it in the context of being burned out, in a context of escaping from something. And for us, honestly, the way we've done our lives, I'm grateful for the things that we do. We've done the things that I tell people, diversify our income source. We're not dependent on one income source. And what that meant was even when I was practicing, just like 2 months ago, I was doing it because I wanted to, not because I had to. So there wasn't a sense of, I knew I could leave. I knew I had the freedom to stay or leave, which is what I believe everybody deserves. And so when we decided that we wanted a sabbatical, it wasn't because it was what we needed. It was because what we just wanted. We just said, you know what? It would be awesome to be able to take time off with a family for an extended period of time. Like, okay, you know what? That'll be awesome. Cool. And I believe it was a desire that was dropped in, by God, if you're someone that's of faith, because God was like, I want you to take some time off. So we were not burnt out. We were not stressed. We're not running from anything, but instead now it feels more like we're actually walking towards having this time to just think about what we want our lives to look like for the next season of our lives. So for that, I am grateful, but 100% not because we're burnt out. And in fact, when I left, it was sad. It was sad for me. My colleagues were sad. My patients were sad. It was like, I was not who they thought was going to leave because I was happy. And that by itself, I hope for those that are leaving, it's okay to leave what you love. It's okay to pause. It's okay to not wait till you hate it. And honestly, my hope and my goal is to go back to practicing medicine. And I want that to be, again, I cannot believe I get to do this. That's my thought about what I want my life to look like. And I believe that when I do go back, at whatever capacity I get to go back, I choose to go back, that's a thought that I want to have. Like, I'm so grateful that I get to practice medicine. And if that ever changes, then I will pause again. But I did not leave because I was burned out. And I've actually never emphasized that part before, but for some reason, I feel like your audience needs to hear that, because sabbatical is not only for people that are burned to char. It's for people that just choose that they want a break. They want to do a season of doing something else. And I have this thought about how we're meant to live some people call it multiple seasons. I almost think about it as multiple lifetimes in one, where the lifetime of what my life looks like, as that part is now ended, as closed. And this year we get to live another lifetime. And after this, we're going to decide what our next lifetime is going to be, which may be for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, only God knows. But I think we need to give ourselves the permission to live multiple lifetimes and not thinking about it as seasons, because when we think about it as seasons, we think about seasons as like, okay, winter is going to come again, summer is going to come again, spring is going to come again, fall is going to come again. It feels more like cycles, but instead I choose to see my life as linear, where it's okay for me to end one and then restart one. And I actually think that maybe what our lives is meant to look like more than what we've traditionally thought, which is like one lifetime. And if you ever choose to change, a pause or move, you're doing something completely wrong.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's beautiful. And you brought your whole family with you. So tell me what grade your 3 girls are and how they're doing school right now.
So we have a 5-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 10-year-old. So they're pre-K, will now start at kindergarten. and second grade and fourth grade. And so what we're doing is we're kind of homeschooling. And I mean, right now, the whole system is really sophisticated. So it's not like I have to scratch my head and figure out a curriculum. You can sign up for a school online. There's a lot of free resource, but we chose to sign up for a school that is paid. And what that means is they've organized the curriculum. So our job is, my husband has more patience than I do. So he's the teacher and I'm the teacher's assistant. And honestly, the person that needs the most help is really our kindergarten, our now new kindergartner, because she doesn't read well yet. But the others, we do more like guiding, assisting, keeping them on their, making sure they get their work done, they get it submitted, more so than anything else. But there's so many options, but we chose to go the online private route that is pre-packaged well for you. So you don't have to think you're doing a bad job. You don't have to guess if they're on schedule or not. Someone has done that work for you. And honestly, it's cheaper than the cost of that we're paying for babysitting. So,
okay. Oh, cheaper than babysitting. Okay. Now tell me about your husband. Is he doing any remote work? I know you're still like coaching and running your programs. Is he doing anything else?
Yes, he is. So my husband's an IT guy. He owns his own IT consulting. And what we did was, when we decided that we're going to do this, the main criteria that I told him was he was not allowed to take a lot of clients, right? And that was something that we wanted to do. Our mindset is we're not on vacation.
Okay.
We're living in different places. And that is important, because when we think we're on vacation, what you tend to do is like you stay in places where the tourists are. You stay in the resorts, right? But our mindset is we're leaving, like we're traveling and leaving while we're going around the world, which means we hang out with locals. Like we're staying mostly in Airbnbs. We're asking locals where they eat, where they shop, like where their favorite nail salons are. Like that's the experience that we want. In fact, yesterday we had someone come to my kids' hair and she brought her 3 kids. So the kids are all hanging out for like 6 or 7 hours. And by the time they were done, they were like, all right, we'll see you soon. We're going to see you again, right? Like that's the experience we want for our kids. We want it to be more of a cultural exposure than like a vacation where we're hanging out just in a resort. And there's nothing wrong with that. We're going to do some hotels along the way, but this is what we want it to be mostly. However, the main thing for him was he was not going to take on a lot of clients. So he has very few clients that is keeping on, and there are people that actually do need him. You know, DMV is one of his Department of Motor Vehicles in California. They're one of his clients. So he does like their network architecture. So he's his own boss. He decides when to meet and all that stuff. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So you're not completely on vacation, but you are in an amazing spot where you can experience a different culture. And do they speak English there too?
So there's a combination. There's English. It's a very multilinguistic culture. So there's English, there is Dutch, there is Spanish, there is Papiamento, which is sort of like a combination of the different languages. So it's really amazing because most people here speak 4 languages.
Wow.
Yeah, that's like their baseline. There's a big Dutch influence here on the island. There's a lot of Afro influence, a lot of Jamaican, Caribbean influence. If you've been to Aruba, it's very similar, but I think a little bit less polished, so more organic, in my opinion.
Okay. And are you planning to go, like, where else are you planning to travel in this next year, in that next phase of your life?
So our plan is we're traveling for the next 10 to 12 months, mostly international. So we did one in US, New York/New Jersey. But apart from that, we're doing Aruba, we're doing Curacao, we're doing Europe, we're, UK, Turkey, and all this other, Paris and all this other places that we're going to be going to. So we have about 15 countries on the itinerary.
Wow.
Nigeria, we're going to do Nigeria, and we'll do some Southeast Asia as well. So we're doing 4 or 5 continents.
Do you have it all planned out then? You have all the flights, or are you going to just do it as you go?
We're doing it in phases. So we have our map for where we're going to go. Part of what we want to do is we want to keep some flexibility, because that's not a gift we've ever given ourselves. It's flexibility. So for example, we have friends that are like, we're going to be in Turkey. They're from Turkey. So we're like, okay, we're going to plan our trip we're going to be in Europe for those couple of months anyways. So we're going to be with you guys when you're in Turkey so you can show us your country. Some people are going to be in like Greece. Some people are going to be in Portugal. So we're keeping that flexibility. And so we're not being structured. But right now, what we're doing is before we start any countries or continent, we're making sure that the next place is booked out. So right now we have our stuff to London, and now we just have to confirm with the people we're trying to see and make sure the puzzles work, and then book our flight or train schedule mentally, not necessarily book the train yet, but yeah.
Wonderful. Okay. And then now let's shift into talking about your book a little bit, because I know you've probably been, you're still working on, I just got your email this morning, like, buy my book. Your book is now available for 99 cents on Kindle if you buy it like today or with the next week, right? So I bought it. right before I turned the Zoom on. I'm excited to read it. It is called, again, Done with Broke, the Woman Physician's Guide to More Money and Less Hustle. And you've got your whole book launch ahead of you. Tell us about your journey of writing this book. How did this happen? And what are your plans since it just launched?
Absolutely. I mean, honestly, I will be honest with the audience. Writing a book was not something that was on my list of 3-year plan. In fact, owning a business was not on my 3-year plan. The only reason why I started MoneyFitMD was because 7 years ago, I knew zero about money. I knew nothing about it. All I knew was how to be an excellent physician. I thought I was bad with money, but what I came to realize was that it wasn't like I was bad with money. It was just that nobody taught me in a language that made sense to me. I'd spent a lot of time focusing on medicine, and there's no wealth. And when I say wealth, now they're adding some, but there's no wealthy inclusion of financial education in our curriculum. And in my opinion, part of it is to make physicians stuck and think we don't have a choice and think this is the only way we can make a living. And I do not agree with that. So over the last couple of years, I've gone from not knowing what I even owed with student loans to being done with my student loan way faster. Like, it took me 50% of the time that I thought it was going to take. We've invested in stuff by diversifying in really classic, low maintenance stuff that we do with our finances. And that has led us to having a lot of success. And it's not just about the finances. It's also about the mindset about the finances, like the mentality, the relationship we have with ourselves, the relationship we have with money, the relationship we have with others. And the reason why I bring that up is because it's not just the numbers. In fact, the number is 20%, right? Everything else is 80%. And if it was just about the numbers, everybody that had money would be living a life of value, purpose, and fulfillment. And that's not the case. And that's because there's a layer to it. There's the wealthy mindset purpose to it. There's the identity, ourselves, our own identity with ourselves, knowing who we are outside of money before we can try to do money, so that when we know who we are, money becomes easy, because it's okay, I can invest it. It doesn't matter if I have it or lose it. And what happens is I now learn the important information, and that way my money actually grows, right? So I had to learn that for myself. And 3 years ago was when I realized that this was something that many people were struggling with. And like when the pandemic started, for example, physicians were worried they were losing their jobs. I was not worried about money at all. Even people that were making income from my clinical work and were working more hours than I was, meaning they were taking more money home, were worried about money. And I was not worried about money, which meant that I could focus on my kids, on my family, on myself, on my colleagues, and be out on the streets helping because I'm good. And that was what made me start MoneyFitMD, which is, the podcast, the money community that I have. And then the book became a natural flow from that, because it became a question of how can I make this information even more accessible to people that want things in a concise way, that want to be able to refer to it, that want to be able to stay up one night and like binge read, like people that are like, okay, I know that I'm great with medicine. How can I be great with money? How can I learn some timeless wisdom and principles that no one else is talking to me about money? Because maybe I have all the dollars, but I still don't feel like I thought money was going to feel like, or maybe I'm struggling with money and I just don't know how to get it. And so the book is meant to serve both of those audience, whether you know about it or you're like, I have the dollars, but it doesn't feel the way that money is supposed to feel like. That is what the book is for. And that's why it's not called Done Being Broke. It's called Done with Broke, because when you have cash and it doesn't feel like it's meant to be, that means there's still that subconscious broke mindset that you have. And it's time for us to help you feel that space so that you can feel wealthy the way that money and life and you and your purpose is meant to feel like. And that's what the book is about.
Okay. I get it now. Okay. So done with broke instead of done being broke, because we're not actually broke, but some of us feel like we are. Yeah. And I have some friends like that. I have some friends, Latifat, where they make decent money. They make money more than the average American family. They're not physicians, but they make good money. And they're always saying how they don't have any money. Yeah. that they never go on vacations. And they don't really like to do anything, actually.
Yeah, send them the book. They will thank you. In fact, so it's written for women physicians, but this is what's been interesting. I have lots of loves, just like you do, that are not physicians. And they're like, Latifat, how come you wrote a book for women physicians? Don't you like us? And I'm like, I do think you can read this book. So what I did was I always want to make sure that I'm being as honest as I can be. So I actually had my assistants read. I have two assistants for Soxy Doc, my socks line, and for MoneyFitMD. So what I did was I had them both read it. And they both loved it. And in fact, one of them was like, I'm done with the book. I'm going to read it a second time, and this time with my husband. Okay.
Wow.
And even my audiobook that I did, the person that assisted me with doing the audiobook together, I had to do it when I was in New York. They sent her the stuff, and she actually read the entire book before she met me and messaged me to say that I read the book. My husband and I are actually doing your worksheet that you recommended in the book, and we're halfway through. And they're not physicians. So I think I feel comfortable telling your audience or your people that are not physicians that yes, the stories are in there are for physicians, because that's my story. That's who I had in mind. However, this book is really written for any woman that really wants to learn what wealth is, redefine it for herself, and live a life of what I call abundance, and know how to be the CEO of her finances.
Hold on 1 second. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Okay, I only hope, Latifat, then when my book comes out and I do an audio, or the audio part of it, that the people who read it and help me with it, they do the worksheets too, because oh my gosh, what an inspiration. Yeah, it's written, we're both women physicians, that's our perspective, but really so many people can use all this advice, whether it's about money, marriage, relationships. Oh, yes. What have you found? Okay, so these people who you're writing it for, and other people who are like being with their husband, we're doing the worksheets. What do you feel like they have been believing that's not true? Like, what are some of these money myths that women physicians or other people walk around thinking? And maybe, I guess the main one would be that they're broke or that they don't have money. But what else? Does it go a little bit deeper than that, a little bit more granular?
Absolutely. And one of the things that people believe is I just have to try harder and learn the numbers harder. And they're literally banging their head against the wall. Because if it was about hard, all of my audience would be excelling at it, because my audience are incredibly smart humans. They do hard things like it's peanut butter and jelly every day, right? So if you're trying hard, if you're used to doing hard things and it just isn't clicking as much as you think it should, it's not because it's harder than you think. It's because it's different than you think. And the reason why it goes to the fact that people think it's all about the math. It's like, how come I cannot memorize it? How come I cannot remember it? How come I don't have 10 sources of income when I want to start? And we cause so much frustration with ourselves that it becomes counterproductive, because what happens is, when we're feeling all that way, we actually end up spending more on things that are not adding to our net worth. So the other part of it is, honestly, we talk about the fact that it's so easy, anybody can do it. But what we don't do is we don't give voice to the fact that we all are starting from different spaces, right? My kids' experience is going to be different from someone else whose parents never talked to them about money. My kids' experience from having a mother that has multiple sources of income is going to be different from someone whose parent may not have any source of income. So we're not all starting from the same perspective. And I think that's something that we need to normalize and validate. And I will be honest with you, I've had someone actually some people pre-ordered my book. And one of them literally messaged me and she's like, I'm on page 40. I haven't put this book down. And this is the first time that I've ever felt validated and seen in a financial book before. Because we're being told almost like it's our fault that we don't know it. When the key is we need to pick up the information. But when the key is, it needs to be taught to us differently. But it needs to acknowledge why things are why it is today. And it's not all our fault. And so that's part of what I talk about in the book. I talk about how, we work so hard, we've gone through all of our training, and we think that when we get to the end, we're finally going to never have to worry about money ever again. And a lot of physicians get there and there's no light at the end of the tunnel. Like, you create the light in the room. There's literally no tunnel, right? There's no tunnel. Like, the light needs to shine in here right now. So understanding why we are who we are, why and how we get here has to be understood and validated before we can say, now what? Now let's redo the foundation. Let's help you create a new story. Let's help you learn to retrain your eyes. Let's let you stop seeing or thinking there's something wrong with you because you like spending. There's nothing wrong with you. And yes, some people don't like spending, and good for them. I actually read a post recently by a smart financial advisor who was talking about some of the things that people regret at the end of their life. And one of it is when people are like so focused on like, oh yeah, I want to retire early, they don't spend. And many people actually end up at the end of their life regretting not spending on the things that give value to their life. So to that, I said the key is not stop spending. The key is let's help you change how you spend so that you're not like, let's change your eyes. Let's change your mind. Let's teach you how to start loving owning things, like how to increase your net worth, how to start loving and feeling the badassery that comes from like owning assets. Like, let's remind you of who you are so that you're not even like, okay, well, I don't know. Should I buy this asset? Should I buy that? You're like, no, I'm going to buy that asset. And then I'm going to buy that liability, because suddenly now you remember who you are, which has always existed, which is that you're a badass woman physician. So part of this is like really reminding us of who we are so that we can take our place at the table. And the bosses that exist inside of us is actually great at money. And now let's teach that boss how to like the timeless principles when it comes to money, how to be the CEO of your money, how to think about debt in a way that builds wealth, not in a way that like makes you think you have to grind to death to pay off your student loan in like 1 year, all the crap that we've been taught about money. So the book is about that. There's a little bit of irritation in my voice because you will hear it when you're reading the book. I'm a little bit pissed about everybody that's taught us to like be counterproductive when it comes to money, everybody that's taught us to judge ourselves. And how are we supposed to freaking advocate for pay equity and less disparities when we think that we're tied to our clinical income and we don't have a choice? So the book is going to give the people that are reading it the steps, like literally it is a guide for women that want to know how to have money without the hustle of like the shifty energy of finding what the coolest thing is. I want you to like have your goal, know what you're doing, and be diligent in doing that like the badass that you are, so that you can do it and have energy to enjoy the gift of life that we all have, not thinking that there's another way to make $5 around the corner waiting for you, when you can literally learn how to build wealth in a way that I believe is more in line with what we want to be. It's more in line with us being well, and it's the only way that we're going to change anything when it comes to money and women, to be honest with you.
Oh my gosh, I'm so inspired. I cannot wait to read this book, Latifat. Yes. I love how you're like, it's not about, right, just or it's about learning how to, it's not about not spending the money, but it's about spending it in a way that brings you more joy, right? Like just in owning those decisions. Like, I am the CEO. There are so many people who are like, oh yeah, I'm not really good with finances. I'm like, well, yes, you're fine with finances. Just, own it. Oh my gosh. Okay. I cannot wait.
Well, I cannot wait to hear what you think about it, because I really do want to hear. So
Yes. Do you think now, and we're going to kind of close off the interview with, usually I ask people, what makes a marriage successful, or what, but I'm going to put a financial twist on it with you. I want to say, how does money, have anything to do with a successful marriage, or does it?
Money does, in a way, as long as it's not the center. It has to be another line item, right? But money itself and wealth building in general becomes more of a reflection of your communication, right? Money really, I talk about money reflects the person that is holding it, like it's like a knife. And the same thing in your marriage. Money is going to reflect the quality of your marriage. It's not money that defines it. So when you guys are arguing about money, it's not that you're arguing about money necessarily. Money just happens to be a tangible thing that you could argue about, right? If money wasn't the thing, you'd be arguing about the kids. So it really comes down to more of like the conversation, the communication, mutual respect, mutual love. If both parties can prioritize the other more than each other, that is what is the healthiest, to be honest. Like sometimes my siblings are annoyed with me when my husband and I are talking, and I'm like, I think you're more tired, I'll go do it. And it's like, no, I think you're more tired, I'll go do it. Like, and they're like, just cut it out anyway, right? And the key is and I want to make sure I note that not every marriage is like that. And part of it is wisdom to know what your circumstance is. But because I'm grateful for what we have, but it has helped us to think about scratching the other person's back first. And that way, we're always thinking about each other, prioritizing, and self-respect for each other has been critical. But money is important. However, money becomes a reflection of the other stuff. And if all those other things are well, then your money can become another thing that can thrive as well in your relationship.
Yeah, just a line item. I love that. Okay, because you're prioritizing the other things in your marriage, prioritizing each other. And you said prioritizing, right? Like prioritizing each other, prioritizing your values,
communication, your value, your goals, right? Understanding that both of you guys change, everybody changes, and hallelujah, I'm glad I'm not the same person I was when I was like 18, right? They change, I change, we all change. But the problem is not the change. The problem is the fact that we're not continuing to learn about the version. Like the version of my husband yesterday is not the version today. My version, like literally who I was yesterday, is not who I am today, right? And so it has to be that constant relearning about each other so that we can continue to discover who. It's like forever 50 dates.
Forever 50 dates. Okay, I love it. And we're gonna end on that high note. And I'm gonna just ask you to tell my audience, where can they find you?
Absolutely. You can find me by going on my podcast, which is the MoneyFitMD. Since you guys already listen on the podcast platform, I talk about all things money and mindset. But you can also now find me. You can go to Amazon and look for Done with Broke, a woman physician's guide to more money and less hustle. And you can also go on my website, which is MoneyFitMD.com. You can learn there how to find me. If you want to work with us, there's information out there as well. So
awesome. And a YouTube channel?
Yes, we're starting to grow our YouTube, MoneyFitMD. So if you look for MoneyFitMD on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, you will find me, and also on wherever you listen to your podcast. And then also Done with Broke, that is on Amazon, and my website is also MoneyFitMD.com.
Perfect. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Latifat. This has been so much fun.
Thank you so much for having me. And again, I love your background. If you guys are not watching her on video, go check out her video on YouTube. And if you haven't left her a review from one podcaster to the next, this is like a act of love, guys. Go leave her a review. If you've listened to more than one episode, go tell her what you love. It's the best way to tell us thank you. And I know she would appreciate it. So,
oh my gosh. Thank you, Latifat.
Thank you so much.
What an amazing episode with Dr. Latifat Akintade. Oh my gosh, so many good take-home points. So number one, you are not stuck. Okay, if you're a women physician, if you're a male physician, if you're a non-binary physician, if anything, or if you're just like something else, you could be a pharmacist, you could be a lawyer, right? You don't just have those skills. You have other skills. Listen to me, you guys. You go to school for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, maybe 10 years, residency and fellowship, and then you come out and you're like, this is all I can do. No, you can do so much more. You think you are stuck, but you're not. You may think you're a one-trick pony, or this is all you can offer the world. That is not true. You have other interests, you have other hobbies that could become, right, paying careers. Let me put it to you this way. Some people don't even graduate high school. Some people don't even go to college. And that's not a bad thing. These people have found that they have skills. Maybe it's salesman skills. Maybe it's owning companies, creating their own companies. Some people have very neurodivergent brains and they just don't work well as an employee. They have to have their own companies, and they discovered this in high school or before college, or they went into IT. They went into whatever. They're out there making more money than you are. That's not a bad thing. That's an amazing thing. They're an example for what you could be. And if you're mission driven, right, it might not all just be about the money. It may be about the joy that you create in other people's lives. It might be about the joy you create in your children's lives, you and your spouse's lives, right? The point here we're making is that just because you went into medicine doesn't mean that's the only thing you can do to make the amount of money or to create the impact that you're creating now. That's not the only option. You can create just the same or greater impact, make the same, less, or more money, your choice, doing something else. Expand your mind. Headspace, different headspace. Get in it. Number 2, worrying about money prevents you from making more. Worrying about money prevents you from spending your time the way you really want to spend it, enjoying with your family, enjoying with your kids, really being present in the moment and grateful for what you have and what you don't have, maybe don't want, right? Worrying about money clouds your mind, and that fear can hold you back, set you back, or keep you in this rut that you say you don't want to be in, but you choose to keep yourself in. So if you are done with broke, meaning that mindset of broke, and decide that money's not going to hold you back, that you're just going to go and create the life that you want to create, and that ripple effect will go out into the world to your people, do it. Worrying is an indulgent emotion, guys. It'll keep you stuck. You think you're being productive because you're worrying or you're ruminating. It's not productive. You think you're stuck in this confusion? Make the decision right now. Choose to stop worrying about your money and go live your life with more joy, with more abundance. Spend it in a way that will set you free. Not mindfully, right? Like, I'm not saying just go spend all your money and don't think about it and then get right back into that broke, right? But wisely. Maybe go read this book, figure out what Latifat is talking about. Number 3, you are the CEO of your financial health. If you're the CEO of your own company, your household, children, spouse, your dog, your cat, your hamster, your gerbil, you are the CEO of finance. And you can be the COO if you want, if you feel like your spouse is the CEO, but you're not bad with money. You just have chosen to say that. Why would you? Right? You probably have a credit card. You probably have some cash, whether it's in the bank or your wallet. Like, you're probably going to choose what you want to spend it on instead of just throwing it out the window. You're good with it. Own it, claim it, and then continue to tell yourself you're learning. Be curious. If you think you're terrible with money or finances, why? Why are you allowing yourself to believe that? What's keeping you there? Let's move. Let's crown you. Hey, you are the knight, you are the king, the queen. You are the CEO of your finances. Now go. What are you going to do? That is it. So much love to you, my friends. I hope you walk away asking yourself, what other skills do I have? How can I provide more value into this world? What value do I provide already? And how can I have more appreciation for the value I do add into this world, or that value that I provide my family, my spouse? How can I have more appreciation for the value they provide me? How am I already really good at finances? How am I already really good with money? how do I already have more than enough? And how can I make more? So much love, my friends. I hope you go spread love, positivity, and abundance into this world today. As Latifat said, I would so appreciate it. It means the world to me if you would subscribe to my podcast, my YouTube channel, Medicine, Marriage, and Money. If you would leave a review, because that helps more people like you find this, learn these concepts that are not learned in other places, that are just not taught in medical school. They're not taught in high school. These things, this different kind of headspace, it's like we have to go out and look for it someday. So here, help spread it. Help spread joy. Thank you, and so much love to you and your spouse. If you are finding the concepts I teach in these episodes useful and want more in-depth and personalized support for your relationship, consider this your invitation to join me in creating the most connected and intimate relationship with your spouse that you could dream of. Go to www.medicinemarriageandmoney.com right now and download my 18-page medical marriage survival guide and workbook at no cost to you. I also have a 6-day marriage challenge, which goes over the 6 predictors of divorce at no cost to you. These have been known to decrease fighting, rumination, and grudges between you and your loved one. If you want to take it a step farther, really enhance the joy and connection in the most intimate relationship in your life, sign up for my 8-week Making Marriage Work program today at medicinemarriageandmoney.com. Thanks for leaving us a stellar review, subscribing, and sharing with your friends on social media. You have the power to improve someone else's life and marriage simply by sharing this episode. Much love to you and your spouse. You're exactly where you need to be in this moment. Adios, my friends. The content of this episode is not intended to be a substitute for professional, medical, or financial advice. The opinions provided on this episode are those of myself or the invited guest alone. They do not represent the opinions of any particular institution. Always seek the advice of your physician or financial advisor with any questions you may have of a medical condition or financial plan. This is for your entertainment only.